Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello. Hello. How you doing? Welcome to March 30th. Unbelievable. Well, time flies when you're having fun. Is it my brother's birthday? Yeah, it's my brother's birthday. Okay. He won't want to be reminded of it, and I don't blame him. All right, guys. So, I have to tell you two stories before we get into the muck of Trump's America. I have to tell you two stories. One about driving in my car upon exiting this studio yesterday, and then driving in my car while approaching the studio today. So, two car stories to start with. One, leaving here yesterday, I had to drive out to Monroeville, and so I'm on the Parkway, and because I have satellite radio, I tune in CNN or MSNBC, I don't know, and there was a woman talking, and I listened for a while thinking it was a soundbite, but it kept going and going, and I thought, who is this? Why are they covering this speech by a woman? And she sounded foreign. She had her English was accented. And the speech was nothing in particular, although it was going on and on about women's rights. And I then checked the station I hadn't been, CNN or MSNBC. I went to the other, and yeah, they were carrying this woman too. And I thought, I couldn't make it out. I'm racking my brain. She's saying whenever women are diminished, the entire world is diminished, and I had this thought that that this must be some kind of official thing, because they don't cover this kind of thing unless it's the president or big member of Congress and there's an investigation going on. I mean, they don't go live to stuff. So I'm thinking, who the heck is this, and why? I had this sense that Trump would not be pleased that some woman, a foreigner clearly, was lecturing us about human rights. And then I went into the Squirrel Hill Tunnel, and I lost the signal. And I thought, oh, please, as I'm driving through the tunnel, please don't end this before I find out who that woman is, because I can't figure this. Out the tunnel, and she's still going, but wrapping up. And then she wraps up, and they break away. And that's when I learned her identity. It was our First Lady. Melania, who had been, sort of like Punxsutawney Phil, grabbed and pulled out of whatever hole it's hardly a hole, her plush prison on Fifth Avenue, and obviously asked to do the kind of thing First Ladies do. And this had to do with honoring, at the State Department, it turns out. She was at the State Department honoring women who have suffered rape and all kinds of appalling actions. And I was just blown away by the irony, the hypocrisy, all of this. As I thought back at what I had heard this foreign-sounding woman say about women and respecting them and all of this, and I'm thinking, your husband, babe, your husband, the pussy grabber in chief, the man who... And the pussy grabber in chief who wants to deport everybody who's here illegally. And there is some question about how she got in and whether she overstayed her visa. And his antipathy toward immigrants, foreign-born people. And I don't know. Hey, driving on the Parkway, heading to Monroeville, and thinking, what odd, ridiculous times we live in. Yeah, it was our first lady. I'd never heard her voice. I guess the last time I'd heard her voice was when she gave her plagiarized speech at the convention. So you know how when somebody's in public office and in the news, you learn their voice. Oh, God. So anyway, that was our first lady, honoring other women affected by bias and abuse. Then, in my car, same vehicle, but different direction, coming in on the same parkway, I see on one of those big over-road signs that PennDOT has up, that says things like congestion ahead. Yeah, I know. And, icy road conditions and watch out and blah, blah, blah. It gives you bits of information. There was something I'd never seen before. And I was, by the time you see it and at the speed you're going, the speed I'm going, there's no way without taking your eyes off the road, right? Because if you're looking at that and trying to read it, you are not watching the road and the cars around you. So I looked up and I saw missing person sighting. And then it was clear they were showing some kind of information that we were all supposed to keep our eyes peeled. But I couldn't take it all in. And I zipped under the board and thought, geez, I mean, what was that? And how could anybody take that information in going 55, 60, 65, 70, whatever, miles an hour? And then there was another overhead board before I got to my exit. And that's when I skipped down to the part I hadn't had a chance to see. So it said, missing person sighting, call or something. And then it had a description of a car, gray Acura RDX, and a license plate number. And even the second time going under it, all I really got was gray Acura RDX, and I didn't get the license plate number. But I guess I have a question. How helpful is that, and how safe is that? They're giving you very specific information, license plates, cars, and styles, and also alerting you. All that was on one message. How do you take that in, traveling at the speed with which you're going? And how do you take it in without also taking your eyes off the road? Because in the time you could maybe have read it, your eyes could be off the road for what? 3 seconds? 4 seconds? That's dangerous, I think. So what is the Department of Transportation of the great state of Pennsylvania doing, putting up relatively complex information, numbers, letters, blah, 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 to an audience that's going 65 miles an hour? I don't know. I'm questioning it. And And personally, I just never seen that kind of. Obviously, somebody saw. They got a report, so now they know whoever this missing person is in this Acura RDX, whose license plate I'll never know. Life confuses me. I mean, in a given day, so much furrows my brow that you think it's supposed to get easier or something. Well, I'm old and wizened, and I should have no difficulty navigating the world out there. But I do. Okay. Little cleanup from yesterday's show and then into the horrors of the day. 2 emails left over from topics on yesterday's program. One, my little foray into the wondrous world of arachnids. The fact that spiders are everywhere and that they consume as much food as humans do. I mean, globally. And there was even a fact I didn't share it with you because it was so disgusting I couldn't deal with it. That spiders could, it was something about spiders could conceivably, yes, devour a human being. I couldn't even go there. But Lynn writes, I have a friend who says that we are never more than a few feet away from a spider at any time, no matter where we are. And that's essentially what, these scientists were saying. Even if you can't see them, they got like 8 eyes or something. They're looking at us. They're everywhere. Just want to know. So if you're an arachnophobic, man, that's rough. That'd be rough. It's one thing if you have a fear of heights, just, stay on the ground. Or if you have a fear of bridges, don't stay on your side of the river. I don't know. But, wow. If you're afraid of something that is literally everywhere, that would be rough. I also talked about the bill that has passed both houses of the Congress and is on its way to our president to sign, which he will, which is about lifting the rule, another rule that was in place with President Obama, and allowing internet providers, Comcast, Verizon, to sell all the information they can glean from each of us as we use their product. So they can now sell the information they have on our browsing history. In other words, they can make money, more and more money, selling what is ours. Republicans in office, I'll tell you, man, they don't miss a beat to help their rich buddies get even more. And Mary writes about that. Guess who else is selling their clients' data? And it turns out that tax preparation companies. Can you imagine? You go in to have your taxes done, and they can turn around and sell your information. If you're filing electronically, it says here, don't be surprised if someone solicits you for a high-interest personal loan or offers to refinance your mortgage or calls you about some hot new investment. It's because you aren't bringing in a lot of bucks or you deducted. They're looking at your tax returns, I guess. Well, why did this friggin'... Excuse me. I don't mean to get crazed, but I am crazed because this mouse doesn't work. Okay. Never mind. So it's just flitting all over the page. I mean, we've said before, any sense that we have any privacy anymore is delusional. But the extent of it and the fact that people can collect this personal information and make money off of us. It says here that many software companies share your data with marketers. They share your name, your address, email, phone number, income, dependents, charitable contributions, deductions you took, business losses, whatever. And those, so that's if you're using a, God, so do they name names about who's doing this? I wouldn't use them. One tax software. So this is if you're doing it all on your own on your computer. One tax software company used to ask whether the tax filer agreed to receive personalized tax tips and information. So that was a request for permission. But if, for instance, you go to a place called Online Taxes and you agree that you understand and and agree with their privacy or their all their, that stuff you never read, but say I agree, right? Because you just want to get to the site. Yeah. I agree. Well, they flat out say we're going to take your information and sell it. Oh, my God. Okay, so just saying, beware, be very, very beware. And the other thing was a quick reminder that the National Legal Director, the guy who decides what they're going after of the ACLU, is giving a free speech tonight at the August Wilson Center, if you're interested. It's part of the Pittsburgh ACLU's chapter annual meeting. We always bring in a big honcho, and the speeches are often pretty damn good. So you're invited. Starts at 7. They do some business. If you come by 7:15, you'll miss some of that. Just saying. And it's at the August Wilson Center in the auditorium there. Free. But I also came upon something just yesterday about another thing that's happening tonight, same time. So you have to pick, but I just want to pass this on because some of you might be interested in it, I would think. Harry Belafonte organized a something that he calls Sankofa organization. I'm not sure what that stands for. It's a social justice organization that he founded, I believe, about 3-4 years ago. And I think it was in response to the spate of police killings of black people. And his organization created a documentary. And it is being screened for free tonight from 6 to 9 at the Shop Homewood, which is at 621 North Dallas. Just want to tell you, 621 North Dallas. It premiered in February, so this is just last month. And it's a tribute to the countless men and women who have fallen victim to racial and police violence. And it also seeks to raise funds to support grassroots efforts around these issues. Newsweek called it a sobering reminder of the value of black lives. Free and open to the public. Also, there will be the executive director of the organization, Gina Belafonte. I'm thinking that's Harry's daughter. And also a few other people. So this is on Dallas in Homewood, okay, at the shop, Homewood, 621 North Dallas. If you're interested. Yeah, I like to get you guys out and about. Don't want you sitting home all the time. All right, phone number here, and we'll get into things now, is 412 200 5686. Some of you should use it more. Joe uses it a lot. Joe, what's up?
Okay. Couple things I want to say. This private, they're trying to get at your emails, or I'm losing my train of thought. Let me talk about something else here. I agree with Trump not passing the first pitch out there, throwing the first pitch. I agree with that stuff.
Why?
And I agreed with him on the correspondence, not participating with that. And I'd like to see a president less on late night TV. I think those three things, I think they just should stop it. I don't agree with it.
Well, I'll tell you.
I just.
But
don't
in both,
think that first
here's my guess. In both cases, he didn't go because it's
Right.
not a controlled environment.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't.
He's an idiot. I know
Well,
he
no,
is.
he doesn't want to go out there in that stadium, and first of all, show that he can't get the pitch even halfway to home plate. But also, he knows.
Well, he was a pretty good ball player.
Fine, maybe okay,
Yeah.
so fine, but
Yeah,
he
was at
doesn't.
one time.
He doesn't want. There'll be people who will boo him, and you know it. He'll be
Yeah, he didn't
booed,
like it.
and he can't handle that. And he can't pretend it didn't happen. And also the correspondence dinner. I mean, as we saw, he can't handle that any even joking criticism. It's a roast-like environment. He can't handle it. So I understand what you're saying, though. But I mean,
I think it's a waste of money, too.
come on, presidents it's the national game, supposedly, not, and presidents have been doing that since what? I mean, I think I saw, didn't Teddy Roosevelt? I mean, maybe even before him, William Howard Taft. I mean, presidents have been doing that forever. So he's just, he, his wife, the whole dang bunch of them are refusing to honor certain traditions, are just using the office to line their pockets. And that's what we got now. But I get your point. And, hey, Joe, thanks.
One other thing I just thought about that the internet stuff, they've been doing it illegal for how long? Now it'll just be legal. They've been getting your information. And
Maybe.
if you ever look at something, all of a sudden you see an advertisement about it.
Yeah.
They know exactly what you're doing on the internet.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
People think they don't.
All right. So,
You know what I mean?
yeah, all you guys, I mean, you might want to go home and delete your browsing history. You might want to deep six your hard
They've
drives.
been doing it illegally. Now it'll be legal.
Yeah, great.
That's all.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. We're all just commodities. That's really how we're looked at by the people in power. As George W. Bush famously said on 9/12, I believe. We've been attacked. Go shopping. Just about the money. The money. Bree says, can you put that phone number and email up as a graphic on the screen? Oh, from your mouth to my... We want to do that. Why? Where's that heading? Nowhere. It costs money?
Yeah, because we have to buy a program to do that.
Well, there's your answer. Celine's saying it costs money, which, given, well, means no. This is ridiculous. And Point Park doesn't want us putting anything up on their walls. I guess something about the warranty they have with the company that put it up goes kaplooey if they put anything on the wall, or so we're told. So, well, we got to come up with something then. I mean, we do have to have the number and stuff up. That's ridiculous. Maybe I'll hold it up. Maybe we could have like they do, at boxing matches. We'll have a scantily clad woman every once in a while walk by. That's a good idea, actually. Holding the numbers. We'll just bring the camera out a little bit and she can stand there like this. What do you think? Not a bad idea. Or I could have the phone number tattooed on my forehead, too. Oh, Lord. Chuck writes, yesterday we heard Senators Richard Burr and Mark Warner. That's the chair and the ranking Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee. Senators Richard Burr and Mark Warner update reporters on their ongoing investigation into Russian meddling in the election. Mark Warner, that's the Democrat, reported that there were 1,000 internet trolls in Russia generating fake news stories. I was just told the sound is off. Look, huh? Can the rest of you hear me? God damn it. About had it. Mark Warner reports there are 1,000 internet trolls. Yeah, they were generating fake news stories and they were directing them specifically at, guess what? Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. The very states that surprised everybody and went to Trump. They pulled it off. I think they pulled it off because the margins of victory in those states were not impressive. Okay, Chuck also writes, by reversing the internet privacy rules, we are making it so much easier for these trolls. Really making it easier for them to target us with fake news. This is exactly the wrong time. There's never a right time to relax privacy rules. It's the wrong time. We've been shown the vulnerability. There is no sound?
No, you're fine.
Oh, I'm fine? Okay. All right. Mike, everybody else can hear me. Mike, everybody else can hear me. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Lou. Okay, thank you all the rest. Okay, and now to my favorite story of the... God, did you see the video of them cutting open that snake and finding the guy's whole body in there? Did you see his legs just sticking out? There were legs with his clothes on in the body of the python. Did you see that video? People in this Indonesian village said they heard screams the night before. And, thought, wonder what that is. And then when a certain guy in their village named Akbar didn't come home, they went out looking for him. And someone noticed this huge python and saw that its belly was swollen and they could see the shape of shoes inside its belly. Oh my God. What a way to go. I didn't know a python had a mouth that big that you could swallow a human. I know that they can expand to take it in, but how do you get past the mouth? You mean it can... I can't... And I guess swallowed the guy whole. Dear God in heaven. Well, anyway, that python, yeah, they killed him. They brought him back. It took about 20 men carrying this thing on their backs. Got him back and slit its stomach open, and there's Akbar. When I first saw something on the internet about this, Bree says there is a graphic on the screen already. It says Wirecast. And we can't add that. That's nothing we can add to.
Can we talk about this later?
Huh?
Can we talk about this later?
No, I mean, I'm just telling you this is what people are talking about. But this is not. It would cost. We can't. That Wirecast must have. It's their thing we're using.
It's a streaming service.
So it's the streaming service, so they can put their logo on it. If we want to put our number up, we got to buy some other software, and it costs money.
Like $900.
It costs $900. You guys want to start a Kickstarter for me? Go ahead. Give me $900 and we'll do it. But I am brought to you by the good graces of Pittsburgh City Paper. The last line, paper, being the thing you ought to bear in mind. Newspapers are dying. They are struggling to stay alive. They got no money. They ain't going to spend $900 on something so that I can have a number up on my... Ain't going to happen. Westinghouse. Jeez. George Westinghouse. Glad he didn't live to see this. They've filed for bankruptcy. Westinghouse. I mean, that was such a name and such a, iconic part of Pittsburgh. Why, heck, George Westinghouse's his beautiful wrought iron fence that bordered his estate in Point Breeze still stands there on Penn Avenue. You can see it. He was one of us. Anyway, says here on the Times business page, bankruptcy rocks nuclear industry. And yep. Nuclear, it's like coal. It's having some difficulties. It's going down. It's not making it in the marketplace. And it's why Trump the other day actually telling these poor coal miners, scamming them yet again, saying, hey, your jobs are coming back. See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ruin the globe for future generations. I'm going to destroy the environment. I'm going to pull all these regulations, and then we'll get your jobs back. What a lie. Do they conceivably believe it? It's the marketplace that's driving the demise of coal and the demise of nuclear. Alternative sources, solar and wind, are more affordable now, and they're figuring out how to do it, and they're undercutting coal. It's what's happened because these sources are cleaner. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. Oh, speaking of our environment, the thing that got all the attention yesterday was that Obama is destroying essentially the Clean Power Plan, which aimed to cut emissions from existing coal and gas-fired power plants. So those and here's another reality that I don't know I've seen, but my brother was telling me about it because one of the guys he knows used to work for the EPA, and he says, what's happened is the industry, the power plants have seen the writing on the wall for a long time, and they've already gone to a great deal of expense to retrofit, to make things cleaner. Reversing the rule is not going to make them dismantle stuff that they've already done. So a lot of this is smoke and mirrors. It's just the appearance. Although, obviously, it gives a green light to a lot more trouble and mischief. But the other thing he did is he instructed the head of our Environmental Protection Agency, Scott Pruitt, to reopen a review of fuel standards. And what they're going to target are fuel economy standards in vehicles. So in other words, the auto industry has been told that they got to get the amount of mileage that cars get. They need to get it up. And there are rules in place that the car companies have to follow up until 2022. But these guys, not missing a beat, are saying, all right, well, we're going to make sure that in 2022, all these guys, these car manufacturers, can go back to manufacturing gas guzzlers at with no penalty or something to that effect. What? I mean, again, sounds horrible, but 2022, I should hope they'll all be out on their ears or in jail by that time. Good God. The Food and Drug Administration, sort of an important agency. Surely these guys didn't put someone in charge who doesn't believe that our food and our drugs should be safe and regulated. Surely they didn't put somebody in charge who's going to dismantle any of those rules. Well, I hate to tell you. The nominee for the Trump administration, from the Trump administration, to lead the Food and Drug Administration he's a rich guy. You know why he's a rich guy? He's been paid millions upon millions upon millions working for the big pharmaceutical companies, the drug companies, the Food and Drug Administration. So this guy is going to now be in a position to tell his friends, I know, you're going to make a lot of money on that particular drug. We'll make sure we shepherd it along as expeditiously as possible. Scott Gottlieb. He has raked in money from over 20 companies that he will now be in a position to regulate. So guess what? He's not, he hasn't been confirmed yet. So what he's told everybody is that he will recuse himself for a year. If they give him the job for 1 year, he's not going to have anything to do. So he's saying, I won't do my job for 1 year if you give me the job, and then after that, I'll go to bat for my pals in the pharmaceutical industry. All right, I can't take much more. Mike, how you doing? Hey, Mike.
Dejected in D.C.
What? Oh, dejected.
Dejected in D.C.
Oh,
remember?
yeah. Dejected in D.C. How you doing?
I'm okay. I thought I'd start introducing myself with
I think that's a good
words
idea.
that explain my feelings.
I think that's a great idea.
So, I wanted to go back to the calf story, the fuel standard business.
Yeah.
Remember you talked about the fuel standards and they're going to be,
Yeah.
going to be. I think that's part of the reason that the Republicans want to split up California, because even if those standards are reduced or increased, whatever it is, California is not going to change theirs. And the worst thing for business is when one huge state has regulations that don't match the other states. They have to flex to the state with the strongest recommendation or strongest legislation. And so if they split California up, then that takes away that power that they have over companies and what they have to do in order to make cars safe, furniture safe, all that kind of stuff.
These guys think down the road.
Mm-hmm.
No,
we don't, but they do.
No pun intended. Yeah. Unbelievable. Kleptocracy is really the word for them. I mean, they see the power they seek, the power of government, is a power they see as the power to line their pockets, not the power to help people. That's the big difference from the prior administration to this administration, isn't it? I mean, it's just.
I think it's even more insidious than that. They see us as consumers, not as people.
Not as citizens. No, well, that's true. We're consumer. We're money. We are.
Right.
That's right.
All we matter to them.
That's right. That's such an uplifting.
Now you know why I'm dejected?
Yes. It's such an uplifting view, and it's so wonderful to make me feel that I'm in good hands with this crowd. They don't see a human being in me. I guess it's why they can do like that draconian health care bill, because they don't care about our humanity. They care about money. It's all they care about.
And it's not even a very good long strategy, because like Ford paid people enough money to build his cars so they could afford one of his cars.
Yeah, he figured that out.
Right, but business doesn't do that now. Business people, when you work for a company, you're a liability to them. You're a payroll liability. That's all you are. And if they can get rid of you, they'll get rid of you. You're not a source. You're not a consumer for the product, whatever it is they make or don't make. You're a liability, and that's what's changed, I think, so dramatically in the business world. Is at one time I was an asset to a company. I knew all this information. I helped make product. I helped did X, Y, or Z. And without me, they had no company. Now I'm a liability to them.
Isn't that?
And if they can get rid of me, they will get rid of me and not think twice about it.
That's right.
Because their only goal is to make money for their shareholders.
Right.
Period.
To lower the cost.
Eventually, if there's nobody.
To lower the cost of products. Oh, I'm sorry, there's this damn delay. To lower the cost of their product so they'll sell more of it so they can make more to give to their stockholders. But by they're destroying everybody's lives, the sons of bitches.
And the number of people who can afford to buy their product. I don't understand how they don't see that math. Like if Walmart paid their people $1 more an hour, those people would spend that $8 more a day in Walmart. So I don't get it. Like, why do you think that not paying your people is a way of making more money?
I don't know.
So I thought I'd chime in there because that calf business, even though they're going to change that, it's important to know that there are other factors in line.
Yeah.
And that car companies have to meet other regulations.
You know, the New York Times today had this story, and it starts with this terrifying image. Listen to this. In Decatur, Illinois, far from the coal mines of Appalachia, Caterpillar engineers are working on the future of mining. Mammoth trucks that drive themselves. They have no drivers. They do not even have remote operators. Instead, these 850,000-pound vehicles rely on self-driving technology, and what they are going to do is remove a whole bunch of human jobs from the few that exist in coal mining. These companies just keep working on ways to get human beings out of the picture. Huge trucks, not even remotely controlled. Robots.
Because robots don't complain, they don't take holidays, and even more importantly, they don't report when they see something illegally happening or that water is orange.
Exactly right. And so the regular, anything they do is outweighed by the technological forces at work. Coal is doomed. Coal is doomed.
Good riddance.
Yeah, but to see the president bamboozling yet again these coal miners who surrounded him with big smiles on their faces while he signed away their clean air, clean water, everything, is, I guess, that kind of stupidity deserves to be bamboozled. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, here's what it says. A recent study predicted that automation was likely to replace 40 to 80% of all mine workers. It's a safer way to get it. If you still want coal, you don't have to send people down there anymore. They're going to be able to do it with robots. I mean, in some respects, you should say that's great. On the other, we don't want this shit. Listen to, in 1980, you know how many people were employed in the coal mining industry? 242,000. 2 years ago, it had plummeted by 60%. Those jobs are gone. They're never coming back. They're gone because of natural gases rise. They're gone because of environmental concerns. They're gone because of technology and automation. Oh.
And they're also gone because it takes energy to get that energy to someplace.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I put up a panel on my roof that takes in the sun, it took no energy to get it from my roof to my hot water tank.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't no genius and I ain't no engineer, but I can do the math, and eventually that costing energy to get energy to you thing is not going to be viable.
Well, let's hope we're around to see if you're right.
And if the Constitution still stands throughout the...
That's correct.
Right.
Okay, well, dejected in D.C. I suppose we didn't improve your mood any. All right.
No.
Mike, good to talk to you.
You too.
Bye. All right. Obit of the day. Just 66. William Powell. Not the actor. He's been dead for a long time. The old actor. William Powell. No, this William Powell was 19 years old. Well, you do the math. In the 60s. Yeah. And he was seeing the war, the Vietnam War, unfolding. A lot of things going on that distressed him. Being a teenager, he was concerned that the government fully intended to grab him and ship him off to Vietnam, potentially to die. be killed and to kill. And like a lot of kids of that time and that age, he was freaked out and he was angry, but he got an idea. And he went over to the New York Public Library. He lived in New York. The year's 1969. And he began taking out books and manuals, military manuals, publications, do-it-yourself stuff, things about like how to convert a shotgun into a grenade launcher, how to blow up a bridge, how to, create havoc. Because that was what his angry 19-year-old self wanted to do. And he compiled all this. Took him a few years. And someone published it. Came out in 1971. And you might remember it if you're old enough. It was called The Anarchist Cookbook. Remember it? Oh, yeah. We were reading Our Bodies Ourselves. We were reading The Anarchist Cookbook. A lot of people did. There were diagrams. There were recipes about how to build these weapons. Now, today, it's all there too. It's on the internet. But back then, it wasn't. So he did all the research, compiled it, and put the book out. And millions of copies were sold. It took him a while, but eventually he renounced the book. About 4 years ago, he expressed his regret that he had written it. And he never used any of this stuff. He never built any bombs and created that kind of havoc. In fact, he did quite the opposite. He chose a career as a teacher, working especially for children with special needs. That's what he did with his life. But when he was 19, he compiled all this information about how to create mayhem. The Anarchist Cookbook. And given the times, people use that book. In the obit in the New York Times, it says the Anarchist Cookbook had an influence on a number of notorious criminals. One was a Croatian nationalist who hijacked a TWA flight 5 years after the book was published while carrying phony bombs, although he left a real one at Grand Central Terminal that killed a police officer who tried to deactivate it. Thomas Spinks used the information. He was part of a group that bombed abortion clinics in the 1980s. Timothy McVeigh owned the book, and you know what havoc he created. Oh, here was a guy who was coming from the left, and most of the people who used the information were coming from the other direction. You know who else used it? One of the Columbine attackers, Eric Harris. He had the book. And Jared Loughner, the guy who attempted to kill Gabrielle Giffords. The cookbook. William Powell. He actually died last year and nobody noticed. And somehow someone went looking for him and ended up with this big obit in the New York Times when they found out he was dead. He said a few years back when he said he regretted what he had done. He said, my motivation at the time was simple. I was being actively pursued by the military, who seemed single-mindedly determined to send me to fight and die in Vietnam, and I wanted to publish something that would express my anger. Yeah, that's what a 19-year-old does. A lot of us at that age did stuff, but it didn't result in death. I bet he regretted it. Ansel, just to append to your conversation on the climate, did you see that Maryland has approved a ban on fracking? No, great, this week. And Maryland's governor is going to sign the bill. I think New York has done that too, right? There are states who have said, are you kidding me? Incredible. They passed this stating that there is no greater threat to the fresh water supply than fracking. And Ansel has a P.S. Thank you. I'm going to spend the day now looking for spiders and snakes in and around the house. I don't think you have to worry about a python. Spiders and snakes. That is true. The two things that I think people are most... Women are afraid of those two things more than men. Yeah, I think. I've even seen in a catalog, I once did, I think, over an hour on my radio show back in the 80s with a wonderful woman who was a reporter for both radio and TV who has died too young. Funny as hell, Kathy Carestis. She was... on the O'Brien and Gary show often in the morning for you old farts. Anyway, Kathy and I was talking about, I was so scared of the spider, and I didn't know, I couldn't step on it, I couldn't touch it, I didn't know what to do, and she called, and I swear an hour of frivolity and hilarity. She ended up, she had told me she bought this thing. I later saw it in a catalog. She bought this thing that had a tube about 6 feet long. And it was purely to like vacuum up spiders so you could stay that far away from them and zap them and get them out of sight. And I can't remember, but I mean, I don't remember anything, but yeah, spiders. Hey, remember that big deal that Kushner was doing to try to make some nothing of a building they own on Fifth Avenue? Is it 666? Okay, it can't be. It is! It's 666 Fifth Avenue. The Kushners own it. And it is a nondescript skyscraper. And I told you maybe about 2-3 weeks ago that some Chinese guy who had ties to the Chinese government was going to buy it at some unbelievably over-the-top price that would make it, I guess, the most highly valued property. It was insane. It was insane and quite clearly intended to buy influence. And guess what? Whoops. This is from the Wall Street Journal today. Negotiations between New York real estate developer Kushner Company and this Chinese company over a $7.5 billion sale in Manhattan has collapsed. Amid an outcry over possible conflicts of interest involving the Trump administration. Whoa! And it ain't the Trump administration or the Kushners that stopped it. They were using, again, their power to make these outrageous deals with people who wanted to buy influence. The people who pulled on it were the Chinese. All of a sudden, they didn't want the attention. So, and I mean, it's all about, you talk about these rich people and the commingling of the powerful in government and the powerful in the private sector. The guy who is the chairman of this Chinese company is somebody who happened to marry the granddaughter of Deng Xiaoping, if you'll recall, the now deceased but former Chinese big guy. So the Kushners are in the White House. He marries Deng Xiaoping's granddaughter. These people understand. It's like European royalty understood. You commingle. You marry off somebody, for alliances are formed, deals get made. It's what the powerful and the rich do. And man, the Trumps and now Ivanka becoming an actual employee and her own little office. What about the nepotism rules? It's just another rule that they're openly flouting and nobody's saying a word. Who do you expect to say a word? Chairman Nunes? Speaker Ryan? All right. Dear God. You know what, guys? It cannot be sustained. It cannot. We still have the vestiges of an open society and a governmental structure and a relatively free media. And this is not going to stand. Can't. It can't. It's going to come tumbling down. Let's just hope sooner rather than later. All right. Thank you very much. We'll try to get on this phone number problem. I know I'm getting some ideas from you online. We'll see. I like my idea the best, though. I really do. I do. Wouldn't that be funny? All right. All right. That's it. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Gee whiz. Maybe even see some of you tonight at the ACLU event at the August Wilson Center. Toodles.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.